Hey there, welcome to Safe Moves Stable Spine, the class where we're going to spend the next 20 to 25 minutes working on our deepest core muscles to keep our spine strong and stable while we do a lot of movements with our arms and our legs. We are going to start lying on our back, so when you're ready, meet me on the mat. Alright, so once you get situated down on your back, I want you to just notice your spine. Since we'll be talking about it a lot today, you might as well notice where it is, what it's doing. Notice what parts of your spine are touching the mat and what parts aren't. And then let's start making some adjustments to bring ourselves into the most neutral spine possible so the core muscles can work the most efficiently. You want to be in a neutral pelvis, so nice heavy tailbone or sacrum, light low back, level across your low belly, so from hip bone to hip bone, it's a level surface, and also level from your belly button towards your pubic bone. And then moving up the spine a little ways, we want to try to maintain the rib cage on the floor, and that includes those floating ribs that are just about halfway down your back, so it's lower than you think. So you just want them to, you don't have to press them down and make an imprint on your mat, but just have them connected softly. And then moving up into your upper back, you want to feel those shoulder blades on the mat. And then your neck is light and your head is heavy. Go ahead and reach both arms up high towards the ceiling and keep those shoulder blades on the mat, so don't let them go up to the ceiling with your hands. And then exhale, reach your arms towards the wall behind you, trying to maintain all those neutral curves in your spine that we just set up. And then inhale, reach your arms back towards the ceiling. And try that a couple of times, reach back. And if it helps, you can close your eyes so you can really focus in and see if there's any subtle changes happening as your shoulders and your arms are moving. Go slow. These changes would be very small, so they're not going to be right there, obvious in front of you. Just pay particular attention to your spine on the mat. And now let's get those arms a little bit more energetic if they're not already. So I want you to maintain reaching towards the ceiling. Like pretend there's $100 bill up on the ceiling and you want to get it. But your shoulder blades are glued on the floor. So your arms are reaching in both directions. Hands reaching up, shoulder blades reaching down. Then move your arms towards the wall behind you. Two more times. And next time your arms are up towards the ceiling, you can go ahead and rest them down by your side. Palms up. Palms up will help us keep the chest open and the shoulder blades on the back. All right, now let's challenge the lower spine and the pelvis area. We want to maintain that still level pelvis, and if you want, you can bring your hands up on those hip bones so you can get that tactile information. And then open your right knee off to the side. And then bring that right knee back so the kneecap is pointing straight up. Open your left knee off to the side. So we're seeing how much range we can get in that hip joint while still keeping our spine stable. You can go back and forth at your own pace. See if there's a difference side to side. That's always interesting to make note of. These shifts in your spine will also be super subtle, so really bring your focus into your spine. And whichever one you're on now can be your last one. So when both kneecaps are pointing up towards the ceiling, you can stop. All right, we're going to combine a little bit of lower spine stability with upper spine stability. Get the arms up towards the ceiling just like they were before. As you exhale, you're going to reach the arms back towards the wall just like before. This time though, we're going to also reach the right leg out nice and long, trying to touch the wall in front of you, but still trying to maintain that level pelvis. And then pull everything back to center. Reach back again, lengthen that left leg out long. Your leg is hovering over the floor. And pull everything back in. Keep going, switching legs, each one. And maintain that energy through your arms and through your leg that's reaching. Reach. Notice if you feel anything in your back wiggling and wobbling on the mat. If you are, slow down. And just try to find a little bit more stability. And whichever one you're on now can be your last one. Return your foot to the floor, bring your arms down to your side. So when we're on our back, it's really useful to use the mat as feedback. It tells you if you're keeping your neutral spine or not. As we start moving into other positions, it's going to get harder and harder because less of our body or less of our back in particular is going to be touching the mat. So for a moment, I want you to lie here with your eyes closed and shift into your most neutral spine. So heavy tailbone, light low back, heavy rib cage. And notice, even in the soles of your feet, what's touching the mat and what's not. All the way up into the back of your pelvis, all the way up your back, all the way up to your shoulders, all the way into your head. And just try to remember the relationship of your head to your shoulders, to your ribcage, to your pelvis, to your feet in this position. And then go ahead and roll over to your right side. And I'm going to lie with the legs out nice and long underneath. You want to stack the hips. We want to stack the rib cage. Shoulders, they're not going to get quite stacked because we're lying on this one, but really focus on stacking the hips and the rib cage. And now in this position, I want you to keep lengthening through this top hip. Reach it towards the wall at the foot of your mat. You'll notice how that lengthens your waistline and keeps the pelvis stacked. What you should feel here as far as feedback from the mat is heavy in the right side of your hip, in that right hip bone, light in the right waistline, and heavy in the right rib cage. So we're going to try to maintain that, so not pressing any part of our spine or any part of our side into the mat more or less. We're keeping it right here. And then go ahead and lift your top leg up and lower down. Lift it and lower it. Explore with how high up you can go with your leg. You'll start noticing as that leg gets higher and higher and higher, it's harder to keep your pelvis aligned. So what that does is it hikes your left hip up, shortens your waistline, presses your other waistline into the floor, so we don't want any of that. So go up as high as you can while still maintaining this neutral alignment. Now as we're doing this leg series, there's four leg movements. You can take a break at any point. And just a few more of these lifts. And now keep this leg lifted just to about hip height. Flex your foot. And then move your foot forward. So we're swinging our leg in front of us. And then press that leg backward. And swing forward and press back. So now this is going to be a little slightly more difficult to maintain those neutral landmarks on the mat. So if it helps, close your eyes, focus in on what the part of your body on the mat is doing. And look for that stillness and stability, except for your breath. Your breath is moving, so you might feel some shifts there. All right, now bring your leg right in underneath you. We're going to do circles, little circles. Remember, if you need a break, you can take a break. And reverse it. And move into the bicycle when you're ready. So we're going to pedal that top leg now. This is a lot more movement at the hip joint, so a lot harder to maintain that stable spine. Reverse it. And then go ahead and rest that leg down. We're going to roll over to the other side. So take your time getting there. And we're going to do it again. So first, before we begin the leg movements, let's find our neutral spine position in this side lying position. So heavy on the side of that left hip, light in the left waistline, heavy in the left rib cage. Lengthen through the right leg, trying to touch the wall at the foot of your mat, and then lift that right leg up, lower it down, and explore with how high up you can go while still maintaining the stability in your torso. And same thing over here. If you need to take a break, take a break. I'd rather you take a break and then hop back in, or rather than muscling through this, because muscling through it won't make your body happy. All right, now leg is at hip height. Flex your foot, move your leg forward, move your leg backward. Notice if this side feels any different than the other side. And this movement can be super small. Again, your goal is that stable spine. It's not about making a big leg movement. So whatever you've got is good. Forward and back. And then circles. And reverse it. And the bicycle. And reverse it. And then let that leg rest. All right, now we're going to roll over onto our belly. And a lot of our body is touching the mat, but our back is not. So we get some landmarks here indicating that we're in a neutral spine position, but definitely not as many as we get when we're on our back. So the first thing is try to pick your belly button up off the floor. That's going to engage those deep core muscles. Even if your belly button doesn't lift, it's at least trying. And then try to make your hip creases really heavy on the floor. Try to flatten them out. And then you want to maintain even weight through the front of your hips. So from hip bone to hip bone. Try to maintain that as you lift your right leg up and lower it down. Left leg up, lower it down. So you'll notice the tendency would be as you lift a leg up for the weight in your pelvis to shift in order to compensate. for that lack of support over there on that side. So our goal is to maintain that nice, even, neutral pelvis. Whichever leg is up, keep it up. Maintain that nice, level, neutral pelvis. Take this leg out to the side, squeeze it back in underneath you. And out to the side, squeeze it back in. Two more. You can lower that leg down, lift the other leg up, and out to the side, squeeze it back in. Two more. Lower that leg down. Just gently wiggle the hips side to side to release any tightness that might have just creeped in there. And then press yourself up to hands and knees. All right, this is the challenge now. So no part of our torso is touching the floor, but we still want to find that position of our spine. So if you can, close your eyes and remember back to when you were lying on your back with your arms in the air and your feet on the floor. And try to put your spine in that position. So you're trying to bring your head in line with your shoulders, in line with your rib cage, in line with your pelvis. And once you find that position, try to maintain it the best you can. It's not going to be perfect, I promise. But try to maintain it the best you can as you reach your right hand towards the top of your mat. And then slide it back in underneath you. And then slide your left hand up towards the top of your mat and bring it back in underneath you. Right leg back towards the bottom of the mat. Bring your knee in underneath you. Left leg back. Bring the knee in underneath you. So continue. We're up to the right hand again. Slide it, pull it back. Left hand, slide, pull it back. Right leg, slide, pull it back. Left leg, slide, pull it back. Keep going. Go slow so your body has a chance to figure out what it has to do in order to move these arms and legs and keep the spine as stable as possible. And you can play with how far out you reach. So if you want to make that reach just a little bit smaller, and if you find a lot more strength and stability there, then work in that range. Just play around. Notice if it's harder to maintain your stable spine when one limb is going out versus the other limbs. And we'll do just a couple more. And rest back. When you're done, shake out those wrists. And I am going to challenge you to a plank today. Plank is an awesome stable spine exercise because you put yourself in a position where your spine doesn't move. We're not going to be bending in any directions, but it's one of the best deep core muscle exercises there is. So hands on the floor. Curl your toes under. Shift your hips up into a plank position. Your shoulders are going to come over your wrists. And then we want to bring our spine into alignment with itself. So head in line with the shoulders, in line with the rib cage, in line with the pelvis. Pull your belly button up just like you did when you were on the floor. And I told you to try to pick the belly button up off the mat. And press those hips slightly forward. Try to hug your shoulder blades on your back just a little bit more. And you can come down whenever you're ready. Press yourself back for a quick stretch. And return up to sitting. Thanks so much for joining me and stabilizing your spine with me, and I will see you next time. Bye!